Welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg. I'm Village President Al Larson. In this episode, we'll be joined by Tony Lafreniere and Dan Otto from the Schaumburg Park District. Then we'll talk to Roxanne Benvenuti and Jay Flynn to learn about this year's Septemberfest. We'll close out the program by speaking with Martha Dooley about Schaumburg swans and beekeeping. All of this and more today here on Speaking of Schaumburg. The Schaumburg Park District always has something fun going on for the entire family. Here to tell us about upcoming events are Tony Lafreniere and Dan Otto from the Schaumburg Park District. Well, welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg.
Thanks, Mayor Larson. We appreciate you having us on. We are privileged to come on your show.
Well, tell us all these exciting things that are going to...
Yeah, we have quite a few different things that are either in the planning stages or about to be completed. So Dan and I wanted to touch upon a couple of those things and just wanted to start out by saying, you know, we do a community assessment every 3 years, and almost all the items we're actually going to talk about came about because of that.
Okay.
You know, what basically we get feedback from the residents of Schaumburg and what their parks and recreation needs are.
How do you get that feedback?
We use a third-party company to do an independent study of random households in the community, and they take a large enough segment that they consider that statistically valid, the information they get.
Sure.
Ask them about the current state of parks and recreations programs.
How many returns do you get on a survey?
Typically get about 20% back from the different third party that we use, so we consider it pretty accurate.
Okay. Now, what is your role, and what is your role as far as the Park District is concerned?
I'm the executive director.
And I'm the deputy director.
The first project we wanted to talk about is our community recreation center over off of Bodie and Springs Goose.
Oh, yes.
You know, our largest indoor facility, a number of amenities, and when we did the survey, it was called out that if the residents had to choose what facility they wanted us to reinvest in, CRC came out on top of the list. So we set about with a plan to kind of modify some of the interior CRC to better serve the residents, and part of that program is repurposing the racquetball courts into a larger fitness area. With ADA and spacing out of the equipment, we want to make sure we had a large enough room for the fitness equipment, so ADA-wise, people with disabilities could get to the different pieces of workout equipment. And then along with that, within CRC, we're doing a fitness studio on the lower level. We're also...
Now, what's a fitness studio? That sounds...
A fitness studio, some people call it an aerobic studio, anywhere you go to do a formal class. So right now at CRC, people that are doing a class have to go in the gym to do a class, which isn't very, you know, people can gawk from above and below and that type of thing. So now they'll have a dedicated fitness studio to do different programs types, and whether it be, you know, an aerobics class, whether it be a spinning class, any type of fitness class, basically, people can sign up there.
Dan, how long have you been with the Park District?
I've been with the Schaumburg Park District since 1985.
Okay.
30 years plus.
30, what were you before that?
I worked before that in Rolling Meadows for 6 years, from 79 to 85.
Okay, all right. You just can't get enough of the Park District.
Oh no, I love Schaumburg Park District. It's a great place to work, and we do a lot of fun things. And
how many parks do you have?
We have 105.
105 parks. Okay. And what's the biggest one you have?
Well, I would
Spring
think
Valley? I mean, you can't count that, though.
Yes, well, Spring Valley's 135 acres, so it's probably the largest acreage we have.
Sure.
Our most active park is probably Olympic Park, which is down on Martingale, which has soccer and softball.
Yeah, bring those regional tournaments into town. We'd like to have them.
We keep working on those.
Yeah, we
shop in our shops, eat in the restaurants.
That's right.
Stay in the hotels. My understanding, there's also some kind of a agreement between the Park District and the office buildings immediately south.
Yes,
we have north of the
right. We have the office buildings right there. We have an agreement to use their parking garage during the larger tournaments that we have. We have about 600 car parking in our parking lot, and then our overflow goes to the group parking garages across the street. So that works out really well for us.
What are some of the larger events that take place at Olympic Park?
Probably the largest one is United Grove Soccer Tournament, which is roughly 630, 640 teams.
Huge event.
Yeah, huge event. They use Olympic Park, Connolly Park, and I think they used also Atcher Park a little bit. They also use some other community parks too outside of our.
Do people rent any of that stuff over there at Olympic Park? I mean.
Yeah, that's all rental based for us. We give access to SAA, our partners at the Athletic Association, but then all the other usage of the field is primarily through different rental groups and tournament rental groups.
What kind of feedback do you get from the out-of-towners?
Out-of-towners love it. They love the synthetic turf. That they basically play rain or shine. The Olympic field is operated March through November with this weather. But then the other thing they like about Olympic is they love the proximity to Woodfield, all the hotels and all the shopping attractions in the immediate area. So it's really a win-win situation for those tournaments at Olympic Park.
There's a firefighter kind of tournament too, isn't there?
Yep, they always do one, I believe in August, that they use the facility softball-wise.
And it's a fundraiser, I think they use it for?
They get a nice group always, I think it's the third week of August or so, and do a nice fundraiser for firefighters.
All the proceeds are donated to burn units and things like that.
Oh,
so
sure.
They donate all the money that they raise for that tournament, which is very great.
Okay. Is there a District 54 rocket thing that takes place?
Yeah, every spring District 54 comes out and uses Olympic Park as part of their science program to do rockets. We're always.
You're laughing, Dan. What happened? The cars on 53.
No, actually, it's a really different type of event because the school district has the children build these rockets, and then and they study all about rockets and how they fly and all that, and so then they get an opportunity to come out to Olympic Park, which is 72 acres, to allow them to shoot the rockets off, and then they come back, and it is a really great event. But if you ever get a chance to see it.
I have.
It is fun to watch those things. I mean, they go up pretty high.
Yeah, they do.
And they do the wind calculations before to make sure.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, they make sure they don't go on 53.
Whoops.
Right. Yes, exactly.
What's some of the brand new stuff?
One of the things I wanted to make sure we shared with you is Spring Valley Nature Play Area is in the planning session right now, and we're real excited for the park. Spring Valley is near and dear to our heart, and I know it's near and dear to your heart as well. It's a really special place in all of Schaumburg, and one of the features we wanted to add there was kind of a natural play area, and give kids an opportunity to get a little bit active in a natural setting.
Right.
And I was going to have Dan share a little more with you.
Right. What the whole idea of is to allow children to use their imagination to create play and also discover nature and put those learning objectives together. So the playground will be divided into like different segments, wetland segment, a prairie segment, and upland.
Upland.
Right. And so those different learning areas will be the children will play in those and then discover different features. We'll have a playground, like a big climbing, but it looks sort of like a tree fort kind of thing, and then you have a watered area, you have different senses and touches and feels that the children can learn to play with.
Is parking going to be a problem with that?
We're looking at expanding the parking lot at this point in time.
Which way?
Well, we probably go more to the east. That's where we got the most space.
Okay.
We're still, like Tony had mentioned, we're still in the preliminary planning stages. We have pretty much the playground designed, but we're still looking at the parking lot, and looking at maybe doing some permeable pavers over there or something like that that would kind of fit into the learning objectives of the playground.
Okay. How much acreage is it going to take?
Oh, it's a little less than an acre.
Okay.
The playground is a little less than an acre.
Okay.
And I think we're going to double I think we have like 70 cars now. We'll probably go to about 130, 140 in cars. So we'll probably get close to doubling the parking spaces.
Okay.
Yeah, the play area is located right off of the parking lot, basically. So we're not taking away from the integrity of the serenity of Spring Valley. And we look for it as a nice gateway for people to kind of introduction into Spring Valley. So once they come in.
Now, you used to have a resident deer herd over there. You still have deer?
They do a deer count in the fall every year.
Okay. You don't wait till winter time and see them better, eat more easily?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they do it when the leaves fall off the trees. And Dave Brooks, our manager of Conservation Services, has actually...
He does a great job.
Oh,
he does. Wonderful job.
They do a helicopter flyover, and then they're able to see them from the air, and then they can count them. Virtual wildlife area.
Time is up now.
Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on. Appreciate it.
Don't forget to take time for fun.
Yes.
How can I not? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As summer is winding down, the fun is ramping up with Septemberfest right around the corner. Learn more about this next here on Speaking of Schaumburg. Celebrating its 45th year, Schaumburg Septemberfest is sure to bring fun and excitement for the entire family. Roxanne Benvenuti and Jay Flynn are here to tell us all about this fest. Tell us about the fest.
Yay, well, this will be the 45th anniversary of Septemberfest. And this year's theme
have you been here that long?
Not quite. This will be my 19th one.
Okay.
And Jay's been here quite some time as well.
Good.
This year's theme is Jungle Safari, so that will help people when they're decorating their parade entry.
Why? Where did you get the jungle safari theme?
The parade committee comes up with a different theme each year, so to give people a means of decorating for their entry in a different way. So
we're going to get apes and monkeys and... Yeah,
last year's superhero theme was such a big hit that this theme also will be kind of similar, be easy for people to decorate for that. So.
Okay. Jay Flynn, tell us what your role with the fest.
I'm the entertainment co-chair, so I assist with booking all the main stage entertainment. Then I was also the Septemberfest intern for 2 years, the last 2 years. And then before that I was an assistant, before that a volunteer, and I haven't missed a Septemberfest as long as I've been alive. So,
what do you like best about the fest?
Probably the main stage. I don't want to be too biased, but that is that's my baby.
Who makes the selections of bands and groups?
The entertainment committee.
Okay. How many members are on your entertainment committee?
There's 2 of us, and then we kind of bounce ideas off the rest of the committee as well.
You and who?
Jeff Newing.
Okay.
And there's 2 committee members that do the local entertainment.
Sure.
As well. So there's entertainment on the local. This year it's the Red Baron Pizza stage and the
Red Baron Pizza stage.
Yeah, the local stage and the dining tent. And the local stage features acts continuously throughout the day and ends each evening with a band. And throughout the day, it's mostly District 54 elementary school orchestras and bands.
You also have a
Park District dance group.
You also have entertainment in the food tent too, don't you?
Yeah, and they schedule entertainment. That's been a big hit. People love having entertainment while they're eating and talking and having a good time in there as well.
What else? Tell me some more about this theme.
Well, the theme itself is mostly geared for the parade to give people a means of decorating for the parade, and then the committee selects entertainment for each of the 3 stages. And over the years, I think because of the popularity of country music and crossover country, we've had a lot of requests for country. We haven't had country since I can remember. I don't think we have had much country since I've been here. Mm-hmm. So this year we're going to try it out. And we have a country act going on the stage on Sunday night, and we're going to see how that is received and how it goes. Okay. And if it goes well, we'll do it again.
You have a not-for-profit day. Tell me about not-for-profit day.
A not-for-profit day is an opportunity for local nonprofit groups to sell food and beverages to earn money for their group. So on Saturday and Sunday, there's restaurants in the food tent selling food and beverages, and on Monday, nonprofit groups sell food and beverages.
Give me kind of an example as to what kind of not-for-profit groups.
All scouts, athletic teams, churches, high school groups are in there, and they're raising money for their uniforms and different trips.
And as far as the parade is concerned, how many entrants do you have?
Usually we try to keep it under 100, so right around between 80 and 100, depending.
Are you all booked up now?
Yes, the deadline has passed, and the parade committee is working on the lineup.
Really?
So, yeah, get quite a few applications for that.
Jay, what criteria do you use to make your selections?
In terms of the entertainment?
Yeah, sure.
Well, we have to take a look at what the requirements are, of course, to make sure that we can accommodate them on the stage with the resources that we have. But we want to definitely get bands that appeal to the majority of festival goers. So a lot of people, they'll say, well, can you get this band? Well, we have to take a look at it, make sure that it appeals to most people. A lot of people want to get their favorite band. We say, well, you're suggesting it so close to the beginning of the festival, we have to...
Then they can do a cover then, can't they?
Yeah, well, the thing too is there's about a dozen slots to fill, and we get well over 100 bands submitting their promo material.
Really?
Starting at the beginning of the year in January, and they book up pretty much in the spring. So they have so many acts to go through to make their selections in doing that. And then, they want to fit with the theme and like Jay said,
name some of these acts.
So for Saturday, we have Centerfold, which is a rock and roll act, followed by the Suburban Chicago's Got Talent finalist. We'll be finding out who that's going to be pretty soon.
Okay.
Then we have Journey's former lead vocalist, Steve Aguirre, who was Journey's singer for about 8 years.
Okay.
For Sunday, we have Wild Daisy, who is a country act with a female.
What was it called?
Wild Daisy.
Wild Daisy.
Yeah, so they have a female singer, which is great, seeing the country act, followed by the Neverly Brothers.
Oh, sure.
And then Mark Chestnut is going to be our main act for that evening. Monday, we have Dan Peters and the West Side Winders. So they're playing some swinging surfabilly rock. This will be we like to change it up a little bit. So there's something for everybody.
Do you have any accordion music?
Might have something in the dining tent. And then Rob Tough Curls and the Bench Press. They'll be playing everything from yesterday to now. So another act has something for everybody. And then closing out the fest is Seventh Heaven, who most people know for their 30 songs in 30 minutes medley.
Tell me about the food, though. That's important, too. A lot of people come for the food.
Yes, definitely.
What kind of restaurants have you got?
We have over 20 restaurants participating in the taste. We have some new ones this year. We're excited to have Bonefish back. They haven't been in for a couple of years. It's hard for some of the local restaurants to staff their restaurant and staff the fest.
Sure.
So this year they were able to get staff from other locations, so they were able to come back. I know that their Bang Bang Shrimp was really popular, so they're coming back. We have Level 257, who's new in town. They're going to be participating in the taste portion.
Okay.
So they're a restaurant, as well as, bowling and games, but they're going to be participating in the restaurant part for the fest. And we have a Sweet Occasions Cake Studio coming in. So
that sounds nice.
Bakery items are always popular. Anything on a stick is good at a fest.
Yeah,
You can
sure.
eat, while walking.
Sure.
So that's good. And then we also have Chicago Prime Steakhouse joining us this year.
Okay.
So lots to taste and sample, and you can get full entrees, or you can get taste sample size if you want to make a list and try to hit them all up.
Sure.
Throughout the day, lunch and dinner, definitely.
You say about 20 restaurants. So there's room for more now.
There's we fit anywhere between 20 and 24. So.
Okay.
So.
Are you still getting applications for them, or?
We're finalizing that right now. Yeah. So there's definitely lots to do, and then 250 crafters to shop at.
Carnival and.
Carnival, bring the family. Yeah. There's a couple of wristband days, and there's days to just do single tickets.
Sure.
So
should be a good time.
It definitely, crafts, carnival, bingo, food. On Saturday we have free pony rides for the kids. Sunday night's fireworks, and Monday is the Labor Day parade.
Yeah.
So definitely lots to do, and we couldn't do it without our Septemberfest committee.
Okay. So a shout out to the Septemberfest
Shout out to
committee.
September, because it wouldn't happen without them, and also our volunteers.
Yeah.
It takes about 150 people to pull it off.
You're going to think of all kinds of things to say while you're leaving.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Lots to talk about with Septemberfest, and our sponsors too.
That's good.
We rely heavily on them.
Schaumburg incorporates animals and nature into our green environmental initiative. Learn more about our swans and our bee garden here next on Speaking of Schaumburg. Our swans, Louis and Serena, help us keep those pesky geese away. Bees provide delicious honey and highly valued pollination. Joining us is Martha Dooley to tell us how the swans and bees help us here in Schaumburg. Martha, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Tell us about bees and tell us about swans and why are these important as far as Schaumburg is concerned?
Well, I looked back at the records about our swans to get a little bit of the history about them and how we came to have swans out at our municipal pond. So back in March of 1994, the Community Development Department took a look at the pond and the goose problem that we had out there with so many geese feeding on the lawn and walking across the sidewalks and all that kind of thing, that they decided to get a pair of swans to help manage the goose population. So they went about, we approved the swans and went about getting a name for the swans by looking at the elementary and junior high schools here in Schaumburg to have a naming contest for which eventually became Louis and Serena here at the village.
What school was that?
The request for names went out to all the elementary schools and all the junior highs. We don't have on record who the winner of the contest was.
Collins School.
But the winner was, it was Collins School?
Collins School.
Okay, so you remember. And then the winner was given a $100 gift certificate as well as 2 tickets to On the Town. Well, it was a great idea to involve the youth of the town in naming them. I mean, I just think that was a fabulous idea. And we had Louis and Serena for quite some time. The original Louis passed away in 2003, I think it was. Then Serena remated with another swan. Typically, mated mute swans will mate for life. And so unless one of their partners passes away, they'll stay together for their lifespan. So Serena came back and we had her for quite some time. And then in about 2012 or so, we got a completely new pair of swans. So they're still named Louis and Serena, but they're new. And having a little bit more youth, they tend to be a little bit more vigorous protector of the shoreline around the pond. So we like them because it helps to keep the geese away.
And cygnets, yeah, they produce cygnets too, don't they?
Yeah, they produce cygnets. Ours usually hatch around Memorial Day, pretty much typically every year. They will sometimes be a little late depending on the weather. If we have a really cold spring, they might be a little bit later. And we usually have quite a few eggs, from 4 to 7 or 8 eggs. And enjoy the cygnets when they're born. They're about 7.5 ounces when they first hatch. And
they grow fast, don't they?
They grow pretty quickly. At the age of about 4 to 10 days old, we'll have the Swan Company come out and pinion their wings. They'll clip their wings. And that keeps them from, not necessarily from flying away, but from keeping domesticated swans from flying away and then being out in the wild, where they may not have the instincts to search for their own food and things like that, because we feed them here.
Sure.
Yeah. And then at the end of the season, the Swan Company comes back and they'll take those swans back to their farm, where after about a period of 3 years, they'll mate up and they'll become a new mated set of swans that can be used on a pond somewhere else.
And how have they been doing regarding keeping geese off the pond?
I think that they do a great job. You can definitely tell when they're their busiest during the migration season for the Canada geese. And I've seen them out there chase some things away. Earlier this spring, I had to go out and kind of break up a duel out by the edge of the pond because the swans were encroaching close to the street, but it was because they were waiting for a goose to leave who was across the street. So I had to go out there and chase the goose away before the swan would go back to the pond. So they're really, really assertive, I would say.
Yeah,
and,
very territorial, huh?
They're very territorial, and you'll find that they don't pester the ducks because they don't consider the ducks to be any sort of encroachment on their food supply. Mm-hmm. But they will the geese. They're a much bigger bird.
Yeah. Now tell us about the bees.
So the bee garden was implemented back in 2013 as a request to help some of the residents here in town and the businesses participate in beekeeping as a hobby without having to go through maybe a special use approval process to keep a beehive at home. So we have a 40 by 40 foot area that's out south of, it's on Plum Grove Road, south of Schaumburg Road, in a vacant, it's a vacant open area that the village owns. And we have the bee garden out there. There's parking allocated in the church nearby, and so people can park there. There's a little sidewalk that's been built out to the bee garden so people can take their materials and supplies and things out there.
How many hives do we have back there?
Right now, I think we have 6 hives. We have 3 beekeepers. We started with 2 beekeepers, and now we're up to 3. We have room for quite a few more hives, and we're hoping that maybe some of the businesses will come online that would like to be able to sell their own honey or use their own honey in preparing their dishes that they sell.
Well, and if somebody wanted more information about the bees, we have Bee Garden, if they wanted to participate, who would they call?
They can call me, Martha Dooley, at 847-923-3855, or they can email me at mdooley@villageofschaumburg.com, or they can call 311 and you know, they'll be able to get information from there as well. There's information on our website about beekeeping. So if they just go to villageofschaumburg.com and type in beekeeping on the village's search box, it'll take them right to the beekeeping page.
Now, there was a concern initially that somehow the bees would present a threat to people being stung. Is that still out there?
There was a concern about that. We haven't heard from any of those residents that they feel that there are more bees in their yards or they feel impacted in a negative way by the bee garden. And we have had no complaints filed as far as getting stung. It was interesting that shortly after the bee garden was installed and beehives were in it, I got a call from the daycare center nearby to come and do a reading to the students about bees. And so they thought that the bee garden was terrific and said that they thought they might take it sometime, might just walk their kids out there to see it, not go close to it, you know, because bees kind of, and children sometimes don't mix, you know. But they thought it was a great experience for them, and it could provide some education to their kids as well.
How much honey do they produce typically?
Well, from,
you have hives at your house,
yeah,
don't you?
I have 3 hives at home, and I'll get about 20 pounds of honey or more from each hive. Last year we harvested 60 pounds of honey from our 3 beehives. Wow. And yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's a full day's
What are the bees going to eat if you're going to take all the honey?
Well, they have their own bee supply in the lower portion of the beehive. It's composed of several layers. So in the bottom 2 layers, the bees will keep the honey for themselves to get them going and keep them alive throughout the winter, unless there's some sort of really extensive cold system that doesn't matter how much honey they've saved, it may not help them. But
there's been a problem with bees losing their dying off. Is there mites doing it or something like that?
Yeah, it's mostly, there is a concern about mites and some other beetles that affect the bees in the hives, but primarily it's the colony collapse disorder, which has been talked about widely in the press. The causes of that are not completely known yet. They feel that there may be some sort of connection with some of the pesticides that are used, but there hasn't been any confirmed data that shows it's exactly this one problem.
And bees are important as far as pollination is concerned too, aren't they?
Yeah, without the bees you'd have very little agriculture. There are some other pollinators, you know, some flies and things like that pollinate, but nothing that does the job of a bee. So
yeah, so they're working constantly to.
Yeah. One of the things that helps bees to survive longer is to have multiple types of crops growing nearby, because for example out in California where you have the almond orchards, it's acres after acres after acres of just almonds. So once those are finished flowering, there's nothing else for the bees to get their food from. There's nowhere for them to forage, you know. They have to wait until those trees flower again the next year. So what those farmers will do is they'll have beekeeping companies come in and they trailer their beehives in on semi-trucks. They set them up in the orchard for the period of time that the flowers are in bloom, and then they'll take those bees to another place after the almonds are finished, you know, and so on. And so they have this sort of this circuit that they run where they take the bees, and they think that that may have something to do as well with the collapse.
So how many more hives can we accommodate at the bee?
I think we could accommodate probably, I would say 10 to 15 more out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Martha, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's very, very informative, very informative. That'll do it for this edition of Speaking of Schaumburg. Tune in next month for an all-new episode. Until then, I'll see you around town.